Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
All righty. Hello. Welcome to the program. And happy Valentine's Day. That's a holiday.
May an arrow come your way and fill you with love.
Tom Sokolowski joining me. I never put much store in Valentine's Day, so I forget it's around. And then I get on the bus, and my God, the driver's saying, Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And then when people get off, he's saying, tell someone you love them today. And
I parked in the garage at Mellon Square there and walked 2 blocks, whatever it was. I must have seen 3 floral deliveries, each of which were 2 or 3 bouquets.
Well, let's be clear.
Well, this is the day they make $1 million.
Let's be clear. Wait, I have actually the numbers here.
Oh, the statistics?
Of what the retail, whatever the people who track that kind of thing.
It's
a huge...
Well, think, what are the 2 days it's hardest to get a dinner reservation? The 2 holidays.
Mother's Day and Valentine's Day.
Touche, yes, exactly.
All right. Can't find it at the moment. I'll see it later. It's billions and billions of dollars.
Chocolates and roses and...
Exactly.
Kay Jewelers' ugly pendants.
$18.6 billion
oh, my God, in one day. Jeez.
$18.6 billion, which is, though, less than...
the gross national profit of Nigeria.
Well, that might be... No, not Nigeria. They got oil.
That's true.
Okay. But it is less than the $28 billion that Warren Buffett is paying for Heinz.
Brilliant segue. Brilliant.
In case you hadn't heard, Heinz, our Heinz, it's Pittsburgh as an industry can be, has agreed to be acquired by an investment group headed by Warren Buffett.
I was thinking of the mighty Casey. There is no sound in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Heinz has gone away.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's not known at this time. If you are one of the many Pittsburghers who has stock in Heinz, you should definitely, it's a very happy Valentine's Day for you because Heinz closed yesterday. A single share closed at something like $60.48. But that share, which was worth $60.48 yesterday, you will be paid by Warren Buffett $72.50 for it. That's big.
Oh, I think it's appropriate that what is the color of ketchup? Red. What is the color of hearts? Red. So there's an appropriateness to this. Warren Buffett was being symbolic as well as wise.
Buffett is quoted as saying, anytime we see a deal is attractive and it's our kind of business and we got the money, I'm ready to go. So what this means, obviously we don't know what this means in terms of, the first question Tom asked is, whoa, are they going to pull the headquarters out of Pittsburgh? I don't know. It's not like Warren Buffett buys things and then moves everything to Omaha. Which is where
but that could happen in 2 years. It might not happen tomorrow.
He owns 1 million companies. Are they all headquartered in Omaha?
Well, no, but the question is, depending on what are the needs, what does it cost to have all of the
I have no idea
here and the production of ketchup? I don't think anywhere in Pennsylvania, maybe the east, but certainly not in the west of the state are there any more pickle factories or ketchup factories. All of that which was on the north side is gone the way of condominium.
I don't know if there's no production going on here anymore, is there?
No, not that I know of.
I'm not sure. I mean, they have so many different products now that it's, they make Heinz's Classico spaghetti sauce.
Oh, sure, a lot, but those
Heinz's Ore-Ida potatoes and Smart Ones frozen meals.
Well, I once went to the corporate offices, and on the top floor they have this vitrine that's the size of this office, which is the size of a smallish bedroom, filled not only with those, but every brand they have in India, Bangalore. It was amazing.
Well, it's one of the things when you travel around the world and you can be in the middle of absolutely nowhere in a third world country, and bango, Heinz ketchup will be on there, or something, or some kind of Heinz product. Although it may be packaged differently, because they do package differently for whatever the local
culture.
population and culture may be. But this is a big.
No, it's
I
amazing.
mean, I don't know. I can't imagine what.
Well, I think what's interesting is it's not only a huge company, but it is a. It's almost. It's what's the word? I can't think of the word.
Well, it's an icon. It's an iconic.
But it stands for
Pittsburgh
itself.
company.
Like when we say ketchup, you're going to say Heinz, because everyone knows it. I mean, I suppose Del Monte might do quite.
I mean, when you look at the history of Pittsburgh.
Certainly for this city,
it's just, it's been huge.
Well, I'd be curious to know how much this might affect in some way, form, or fashion the foundations.
Stop and think about that.
Because, I mean, I know at one point that was a gift that was made a long time ago, but some of it I can't believe isn't in shares.
Okay,
of the company.
so let's be clear about that then. So with Teresa Heinz Carey and living here, or having a homestead here,
home outside the city,
and the other Heinz, the Heinz family feels Pittsburgh to be a home base,
it's a moral
of sorts.
center.
Yes, and as such, the monies for local foundations from the Heinz Endowments have been huge.
Right.
Now, once...
If I'm not mistaken, I think they only fund Pittsburgh
local
things.
Well, once Berkshire Hathaway owns it, they don't have... See, that's what I hate about
Well, but the only thing is for
they
the
don't
foundations,
have that connection.
if I'm not mistaken, a chunk of monies were given to the foundation a good number of years ago from the monies of the... So those monies are no longer immersed, but I would be shocked if some of those investments weren't with the company. Do you understand? And so therefore, those stocks have gone up and therefore there'll be a lot more money in the endowments bank accounts.
That's okay. I'm just looking way down the road.
Oh, right, of course. Well, that happened with, you say that, the exact situation. The McCune Foundation, which everyone always refers to as the anonymous foundation, because whenever they give you money, it's always anonymous, but everyone knows that.
Oh, really? Every time it's anonymous, it's McCune,
yeah.
McCune?
Yes, right.
And what was the McCune money from? Do you know?
National City Bank.
Oh.
And what happened was, it's a very interesting story. At one point, some of their advisors, the foundation, said, it's not good. They had nothing against National City Bank, but it's not good to have all your money in one, because it was millions and millions and millions, billions maybe. But the way the original codicil was written to set up the foundations, it said they had to invest only in National City. And there was a lawsuit for a number of years. Well, the National City won because they didn't want to lose all that money. And then, of course, they went kablunk.
That's right, they did.
And so the foundation, really, its assets are quite diminished. But the point I'm going to get to is when the McCune Foundation was set up, it was set up that rather than go on in perpetuity, even though they had enough money to do so, they said that they would do what they were doing, and then come, I think it's 2020 or 2025, they would just close it down. So right now they're in the mode of looking at projects that they can make a big, like, where they may have given you $100,000 to do something. They may say, well, Lynn, if we give you $10 million, what would you do with it? But the third part, what I'm ultimately getting to is, pardon my prolix, the members of their board have always been exclusively, or at least preponderantly, the family. Well, the family now is not living in Pennsylvania anymore. They're living in Wisconsin, they're living in Idaho, and they don't have a restriction about only giving the money to the region.
Right.
And so the point was, hey, if you have all the third cousins living on the West Coast, where do you think the money's going to go to?
Right. So generationally, as generations do move away, and they now are tending the money, you can understand where they then want it in the communities that they live in. So I don't know. I will wait for the more business-oriented reportage on this, but it's big.
So slather your French fries today in honor of the Heinz deal.
So back to Valentine. Wait, back to my bus for a second. If you mind.
I always love it because every time I'm on the show, at least maybe more other times, but the bus really is a kind of catalyst for you. You come in and say, I saw this on the bus, or someone said this on the bus. It's an agora. A marketplace, really. A modern marketplace.
Is that how that's pronounced? Agora?
Agora, yes.
Because I know that word because I do crossword puzzles. But I always thought it was agora. Okay, no, it's agora.
Agora,
the accent on the first syllable. Agora. So, yes, it's like an agora. And it's not, people are fascinating on it.
I agree.
So I get on, and it was pretty crowded today. And the bus driver, with this Happy Valentine's Day, and I'm thinking, geez. And then the bus driver, I realized this is a new guy, but I had him 2 days ago. He whistles while he drives.
Oh, God.
Okay, now that's what I want to ask you. Whistling in and of itself can be, well,
if you're good, it's lovely.
That's right. And that's what I was troubling my head with as I walked down Smithfield. Now,
but does he whistle over the microphone?
No. But I tend to sit up front,
awful.
So I'm just going to have to move to the back. Because his whistling is not horrific, but it's not great. And I don't recognize a tune. It's just sort of this. He seems to be obviously a happy fellow. I don't think...
Or on drugs.
Would anybody whistle if they were unhappy? Whistling does seem to be associated with happiness.
Yeah, coming or... Yeah.
Right?
You don't hum a dirge.
No. Not da-da-da-da anytime you start singing. But so the whistling bus driver, I'm thinking, yeah, enough, and go tell someone you love them. And in a way, I love that. It's so cute. It's personal.
Right.
And there's a guy, I'm seated in one of the seats that, faces... sitting along the edge, and right next to me is a guy who's sitting perpendicular to me, and he's on his cell phone, and he's talking a mile a minute, and he is in such a good mood. I've never heard anyone in such a good mood, and then as he calls different people, I realize why.
He was a stockbroker? Or what?
No. He was finally, somehow, he finished his parole.
Oh.
And he was a free man.
Oh.
And he was going, and to this one person he said, and I am on my way to my job! And he was so excited.
Great, that's nice.
And I thought, I turned and I gave him this big smile, like, way to go. And then you hear him talking about somebody, call somebody else. He says, what? You aren't up yet? He said, you get up. And whoever it is, the person must have said, well, I just alarm clock.
Yes, right.
Oh, no. It was the Lord woke you up. The Lord woke you up.
This sounds like... One of my favorite things in the New York Times is Metropolitan Diary, and that's exactly what this is like. These things that just happen on the street.
These little snippets of...
I thought you were going to add, I was going to say that maybe the whistling bus driver also still had the ashes on his forehead.
Well, that is something, too. In the front page of the paper today, every single person... And the mayor, too.
Oh, I didn't see his.
Well, the mayor's is worn off. But
although hers, you're like saying that's where the bullet should go.
Yeah. Justice Ori
Melvin.
On her way to her trial where she decided she was not going to testify.
Doesn't that say something?
Doesn't bode well.
Those girls are the most unphotogenic.
Yeah, they really are.
People. They always look like the witches of something.
Yeah, they do. They look... They are unpleasant looking.
Yeah, and unpleasant.
Yes. And then the mayor is shown, and I think if you look closely,
his
is smudged or diluted. So, a lot of people walking around. And there was somebody on TV last night on one of the cable shows that had it on. Or on a, maybe it was local news, whatever. But people...
I thought it was funny. There was something in the paper yesterday.
When did you stop doing that?
100 years ago. I mean, I'm not against it, but I'm not a churchgoer. I'm not going to go and just have someone smudge me, for this. But it was a nice thing.
I like the idea of reminding people of mortality.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
I like, there was something, was it in the local paper, the Times yesterday? I can't remember. But now, they started this somewhere, I think it was in the States, but where there's takeaway ashes, and priests will go, or laity, like with a little paper cup into the middle of the agora, and you want to be smudged?
Well, they did, and there's a picture in the paper of someone doing it in Market Square, and that was the Episcopalian priest.
Oh, I didn't realize the Episcopalians.
But there are 3 people pictured on the front page of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette: the justice, the mayor, and an anonymous woman who's being given her ashes in Market Square, and all 3 of them have. This is a Catholic town. That's what it's.
Well, that's very interesting because you wouldn't see. Let's look. I have the New York Times right here.
You don't see any of that in the New York Times.
You have the Fashion Week. Well, I mean, you could say, well, maybe they're more non-sectarian, but if there was some big Jewish thing, I bet there would be an image simply because the constituency of New York City is largely Jewish, especially in terms of intellectual life, etc.
Now,
yes.
Another shocking story today is the news that Oscar, I forgot his first name, Oscar Pistorius.
Oh, yes, right.
Who was the Olympic sprinter with the 2 prosthetic legs.
Flanges.
Who fought long and hard to be able to perform and
they
compete.
did let him race, didn't he?
Yes, and he didn't do all that well.
Right,
so much for giving him an extra advantage or something.
Leg up, pardon the pun.
26-year-old Paralympic champion, first double amputee to run in the Olympics. He did reach the semifinals of the 400 meters in the London Games. Has been taken into custody and I believe now charged with the early Valentine's Day shooting of his CoverGirl model girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp. I don't know. She is a law school graduate and a model. Local media in South Africa is saying that he told the police the shooting was an accident, that he mistook her for a burglar, which isn't a far-fetched claim. South Africa is plagued by some of the worst violent crime rates in the world. Did she
crawl into the window or something? I mean, I don't mean to
but that does happen. And this is why when you have guns in your house,
yeah, of course,
people shoot people. Somebody
and I suppose given him that you can't move as quickly.
There have been many cases of people shooting their children, because they aren't expecting them, and they come in and they think it's a burglar, and they shoot first, and then find out they've killed a family member.
Oh, it's so sad.
Actually, there's an article I think it might be the Wall Street Journal today, or maybe the New York Times, or one of those 2 New Yorkie papers, about the fact that when you have a gun in your house, I mean that it's well known that the odds of someone in the home dying from that gun are from guns are much greater than if you did not have
someone who worked for me. He liked going shooting elk or whatever. They can do it, a year in Pennsylvania. He once tripped over his rifle and broke a foot. And I had to laugh. I said, well, but what if it had gone off?
There was news today. You know what? I'm done laughing at this stuff. There's news today. There was a little item, and I didn't cut it out because it seems like every day there's something. Yeah. I forget it was a gun instructor, somebody who was instructing somebody in how to accidentally shot the person in the head. Oh, now, that's a gun instructor.
Yeah, right.
And these people say, the NRA types, they say that, we'll all be safer if everybody has a gun.
And they learn.
And then you look and see the people who are actually trained with guns. They end up accidentally hurting themselves or hurting other people. The story I was referring to, though, was about the fact that this had to do with the suicide of a 17-year-old boy who lived in a house that had guns in it. His father said these guns are considered family, heirloomy type things. He has the guns his father gave him, his grandfather gave to the father. He did it with it. And so there are guns in the house. These aren't crazed NRA types. But this kid, 17 years old, seemingly, I guess, okay, got depressed about something, and bang-o, blew his brains out. If he lived in a house that didn't have guns, it is quite possible.
Yeah, possible.
That he would be alive today.
Because by the time he'd get a permit, get it approved to buy
or
a gun,
even he might have gotten his head together a little bit more. Ray writes, I haven't worked there in quite a while, but I believe that he's talking about the Heinz facility over on the north side. I believe the Bay Valley Foods, they make baby food there. And I think they make packaged meals for the military, meals ready to eat, MRIs as well. How about that confluence of production? We have baby food, we have food for the
military, right, exactly.
Yeah, well, you know, this news just does nothing but create just a deluge of questions.
Right.
And I'm sure many of them will not be answered for
months.
Or even a year.
Or years, maybe.
They say that the sale will not go through until probably the third quarter. So, I mean, we're looking at a transition that'll take us through the summer into the fall, and then you don't know. You don't know who's going to be making these decisions and on what basis. All right. Well, it's a big news story, a big biggie. And you can bet that's the top of the
paper tomorrow.
That's the top of the paper tomorrow, and nobody's happier than Mayor Ravenstall and the police chief, Nate Harper.
That's pushed them
to knock them off the front
right.
page for just a little while, at least, until the next shoe drops. And so many shoes have dropped in the last week that, you know, we're not talking about. I always think of shoes dropping as two shoes. We're talking about
Imelda Marcos.
Yes, exactly. An Imelda Marcos shoe drop. All righty. Time to take a break. Feel free to... Tom, duck your head a second. No. Phone number is 412-316-3381. Somebody called... That's okay. Come out now. Somebody called the show yesterday and said they would have called earlier, but... Chris Potter's head
was in the
now your head is. We always have these big bald heads, sort of.
Well, you could push it up, but then you'd go into the credit line for City Paper Presents, and they wouldn't like that.
No, I guess not.
Or you get the sign redesigned, maybe. Yeah, because it was somehow right between the person sitting
Well,
here.
If they could put this where
put
you are
right, exactly.
and the number right here.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll do this sort of interior decoration during the break, okay?
Yes. Well,
we'll see you in just a minute.
Do you think...
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
I didn't know about chronic obstructive pulmonary disease until I took the wheel and lent my support to Drive for COPD. Help Americans take action against this leading cause of death by logging on to driveforcopd.org to learn more. I'm Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson, and I drive for COPD.
Pittsburgh City Paper is available now. Pick up one today for the most comprehensive dining, event, and happy hour listings in Western PA. Plus Moulin Rouge, Soul Asylum, Kyle Abraham, and American Idiot. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Tom just asked me who's going to be the next pope, like I know.
Oh, but the wise seer virago that you are.
I'm sure nobody knows who's going to be the next pope. That was surprising, though, huh?
It was, yeah.
And I
got to give the guy credit.
I do, too. I give him credit. I think, there's nothing... I've never liked the guy particularly.
Right,
and I don't think he was a good choice. even for the church. I don't think he was a good choice.
Yeah, sure.
And but this is, and I agree with everyone who's saying it shows humility. I mean, he wasn't
That's
so
how
into
he
the
stepped
Pope.
out, right,
He wasn't
yeah.
so into the Pope thing that he couldn't say, you know what, I'm not up for this.
Well, there's two things. I mean, I think he has looked ashen or whatever, just the pictures I've seen in the last couple of days. So I'm sure there's some health aspect.
But if I had to keep his schedule up.
Well, right.
And
yeah.
I'm,
And you're much younger than
I
he is.
am.
Yeah.
I'm more than 20 years younger than he
exactly.
is. If I had to keep his schedule up, I don't think I'd look so high.
So there's
either.
that. But also you wonder, well, two things. Is there such a battle going on in the whole Korea, et cetera, over, conservative, more liberal, even though there is to a certain degree. And then who knows what's hidden in the sheets between the pedophile stuff, the banking stuff.
No, there's a lot of trouble.
Crap that's just about to. And he's saying, I don't want to be sitting in that chair when the shit hits the fan.
Well, yeah, I mean the challenges for the church are many, and they're
I really think
difficult.
I mean, what do I know? But I think it would be really smart if that Holy Spirit, because that's when the Holy Spirit comes and lands on your head and says, vote for him. I think it really should be an African or someone from Latin America, because
everybody's
they did
saying
the
that.
map in the Times.
They're saying
and they showed
that.
1900 demographics of the Catholic Church, and then 2013.
Right.
Preponderantly. I mean, and not even, we even have more sort of, what's the word? Believer Catholics than Europe does. I mean, America.
Oh, heck yeah. Europe.
So we don't need some old Italian. But how can you believe if there was a black pope? Oh, the people who don't like Obama would shit a double brick. I mean, really. Although the only thing is, if there is a Latin or a Latino or African pope, the only bad thing about that would be more than likely those new realms of the Catholic Church are far more conservative than
that's
the
right.
church. And so that might mean even more of a turn.
No, there's no way that pope would not be.
It's going to be John the 23rd.
The deck is stacked. The deck is stacked because both Pope John Paul II and this pope were true theological conservatives and traditionalists, and they wanted that kind of cardinal. So that's who's ascended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. So you did not see Rubio's water swig.
No.
Well, you might be the only person in the world who hasn't.
Okay.
And I think
I'll try YouTube later.
Okay. Oh, I don't think it'll be difficult.
No, I don't think it's difficult either.
No. So, what else we got here? Gosh. So the cop shop stuff is really, it's beyond me. I'm sure the mayor, in deciding to stick with
support,
has made a political calculation.
Oh, sure, of course.
But I wonder if it's the right one. I suppose if he were to get rid of Harper, who he stood next by through thick and thin, then it looks like he also sort of made a mistake.
Well, but the point is, if he didn't make a mistake, how could he not have known about this? And if he did know about this, it's unconscionable. I mean, it's like the chief of police having it's bad enough if he had a pizza delivery job on his free time, let alone another full-time police job.
Yeah, this whole thing with the outside work is astonishing to me.
And I don't know the man's financial needs.
Would you hire
but
somebody?
He certainly
Wait a minute.
was making enough money. He wasn't making $13.50.
If you have if you employed somebody and they had a full-time job with you, a stressful
job,
full-time
and one
job,
that probably required lots of extra hours because if a murder happens,
whatever,
at 11 in the evening, you're going to be
and
there.
with benefits, pretty good benefits,
and disclosure clauses, I'm sure,
and all this stuff, and you said, oh sure, go ahead, work another 20, 30 hours for somebody else. I wouldn't want that person.
Yeah, you think they're going to be popping Dexedrine so they can stay awake.
Exactly. There's no way you're at your best working that hard, and it's mind-boggling to me.
No,
and now every time I see these cops standing, like I did yesterday, standing...
on the corner?
No, like next to a construction site,
Oh,
in the traffic. They're standing there. Now I know. They're getting what? They're getting paid time and a half. They're getting paid a rate of time and a half. So why would I used to feel sorry for these guys. I used to think, oh God, who put you on this detail, standing out here with nothing to do?
Or just that.
Yeah,
right.
just bored out of your mind. Well, heck, it's not bad. It's like the person who holds the flag. Right?
Oh, right. Like,
I mean,
go slow.
Oh, my God. I'd lose my mind with a job like that. But they're making lots of money. It's not right. It's not right. I don't get it. Chuck has written, just wanted to share, when my grandmother came over to the United States from Croatia, she settled in Pittsburgh, and her first job was with Heinz. And she worked there until she retired. She worked on the line stuffing pickles into jars. When we would visit her house, her refrigerator would be filled with Heinz products. Yeah. No, I mean, there's so many people in Pittsburgh that has such a connection to Heinz. This is going to be...
Oh, I have to ask a question, because this immediately, and we didn't talk about this, I don't know if you have. What is your feeling on that commercial that was on the Super Bowl, which I only saw afterwards? I didn't watch the Super Bowl.
I might not have seen whatever.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, this was a commercial that had a voiceover of Paul Harvey.
Oh, yes.
And God made the farmer.
Made the farmer. Everybody freaked out about that.
What did you think? Did you see it?
Yes, and I
mean, it made me think, because it was like, an American story. The pickle stuffer. And
everybody fell for it, but I sort of didn't. I hate those exploitative things, because it was a Jeep ad, wasn't it? No, it was a Dodge Ram.
Well, it was, but the thing was...
it totally got you too.
Oh, no, I'm very, very emotional that way. But it did show these pictures.
Here's the other thing.
All right.
God might have made the farmer, but the farmer's pretty much dead and gone. I mean, there was a nostalgia there.
No, it wasn't nostalgic.
But agriculture in this country is almost all agribusiness now.
True.
Farmers
that's
have
true.
lost their farms.
But there still
it was not real.
No, but there's... I mean, you don't have a robot birthing a calf.
I don't know.
Oh, I don't think you do. I'd bet on that one.
I mean, I lived on a farm.
Okay, well, I don't have that experience.
Okay, I lived on a pig farm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know about me?
No.
Oh, I lived on a pig farm for about 2 years. I didn't eat the poor little thing.
I see.
My husband and I rented the house on this farm. It was a big, unbelievable old stone farmhouse.
So you were gentlemen farmers, so to speak?
No. We rented it, and the guy who owned the property, he had a farm up the road.
I see.
He had his dairy farm up the road, and he used our farm for a pig operation.
I see, okay.
And he rented the house out.
I see.
We probably had a I think, rent might have been $400 a month for a two-story unbelievable stone farmhouse with 2 wraparound porches screened on one side. Unbelievable. And you'd look out, or the horizon, you could see storms coming from 5,000 miles away. It was really amazing. Actually, my favorite place I ever lived. Ever. I saw how hard farmers work. I saw it with my own eyes. Yeah. I was blown away. When they had to harvest the seed corn, they would work 24 hours straight and keep going. They'd put big lights up. Made it difficult for us in the house to be sleeping. And the sound of the machine. And they'd be working and working and working. And you own a dairy farm? You got to milk those babies twice a day.
Right, yeah.
It's beyond belief, the work they do.
Well, I mean, that's why
they make no money. He never had a cent. No. He was in debt up to his eyeballs because the cost of the machinery.
Yeah, right. Well, that's, I think, all of that, why I instructed.
So I saw when God made the farmer. I saw the farmer. The farmer looked like he was heading for the loony bin. He was working so hard trying to hang on to this family farm. Harris Brockman with his mother, Della, living in a little house on our property, too. Della Brockman, who'd been a farm person all her life. Della Brockman, who remembers the young Frank Lloyd Wright, who lived down the road. The first Taliesin, Spring Green, was right where this farm was.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And she said, he was stuck up. She said he would drive by in this little coupe with his scarf blowing in the wind, and he never had anything to do with the locals. Yeah, so she did not like Frank Lloyd Wright.
No, but I guess everything you're saying is, I don't know. It all struck me, And then of course Paul Harvey's voice was always so extraordinary.
Well, he was something.
He was something, yeah.
Very talented.
It was funny. I said to someone who was old enough to know, we were talking about this, and he said, who's Paul Harvey? I said, what do you mean, who's Paul Harvey? He was like one of those American voices, along with Kate Smith. I mean, it's...
Long gone. That's your reality, Well,
but
anybody,
it wasn't.
Jess, do you know who Kate Smith is? Jess does not know who Kate Smith is.
God bless America.
And do you know?
Huge woman.
Do you know who Paul Harvey is?
Yeah.
No, she didn't know who Paul Harvey was.
If you want,
and
look on YouTube, and there's this. The song was written in 1918, 1913. God bless America, and it was for one of what's his name? One of them. Was it Gershwin? No, Irving Berlin. It was one for some show, and he took it out. And then 1938, when we were on, the cusp of war, he brought it out again. And there's this wonderful YouTube clip of Kate Smith singing God Bless America, and with a chorus behind her. And then while she's singing, and there's many verses that I'd ever heard, they're showing all these people, it's pre-war, sitting by the radio, looking at photos of their beloved in the army. Oh, a real tearjerker. She was the Vera Lynn of America.
But this oh God, I don't know what I'm going to try to say here. Our reality is absolutely different from Jess's reality.
Well, even this for me, I wasn't born until 1950, so it wasn't. But so for me, it's like a phony nostalgia.
Well,
I guess,
right? But in your childhood, it's part of your childhood.
Yes, right,
I mean, mine too. So, I was again. Here's what we gotta avoid as we get old. And it's so difficult because we always think, it's human. We think our reality, our memory, those things that are iconic to us, we always assume that somehow that is it's universal.
No, I know what you're saying. No, I understand. I agree with that.
And so we don't understand young people. We don't get
but I was when you were saying, I was thinking, well, God Bless America, God Made a Farmer. I would put in the same category, John Kennedy Jr. saluting at the graveside. That's 15 years later or whatever from this. And I'm trying to think of something today that would fall into that nostalgic thing. I guess what I'm saying is not so much those
things.
There
won't be those things anymore. You know why?
Oh, I think there's always
because we won't have a shared history anymore. No, we had shared history because there were 3 television stations. We all got our news from the same 500. Sources. and TV, maybe. I just think somebody was saying how you used to be able to, music, well, maybe this was Clarence was saying this the other day. Music is something that you used to enjoy in a communal way. You put a record on the stereo, and people, you would all hear
sit
it.
Around and listen to it.
And now music is individual, and it's in your own head, and you're walking around.
Well, but there are still dance clubs. I know. The Voice, America's Idol, that's pretty global, and the songs they sing. So, I don't know. I still think it was very funny because we were talking about this at a dinner, and there was one of the people there was an Australian who's just come here about a year ago. And I mentioned this thing. And he said, oh, my wife and I just saw that. And we thought, like, yuck. And I said, well, but the one thing you have to realize. Well, but also the Australians, I know, don't have that same sort of nostalgia that America, just as a people, we are very sentimental, I think, in many ways.
Well, I think we're jerked around. I think that's why we're sentimental, because I think we're constantly being marketed to. And what does a marketer do? We're all about selling.
Yes, right.
So if you're about selling, you want to touch emotion.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Yes.
Whether it's anxiety or love or whatever. And our culture is so based on that I just think we're jerked around all the time. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hi, sorry to interrupt your train of thought there.
It's okay.
What is the iconic things in current media? It's viral videos.
What? I'm sorry. What is the iconic what?
Now it's a viral video.
Yes, that's viral videos, but they have
and
no
you
shelf.
See how quickly they go away.
They have no shelf life, right? So there's nothing that stays, nothing lasts. Everything's ephemeral.
Well, and in some ways, I'm the same with you. I do have a lot of references from the past, even before my history. My parents were older, so I picked up on a lot of things that were pre my generation.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
But I think you're right about, in the farmer, God Made a Farmer commercial is a good example of the bad nostalgia.
And why
bad?
Why would you? Yeah, why do you classify it as bad?
Well,
because it's not real.
I wish America was like it was. America, it's that American exceptionalism. It's that whole, and it's just tugging on. Well, I sent you an email the other day about emotional pornography.
Yes.
I love the quote that Mark Twain had about history doesn't repeat itself; it rhymes.
It doesn't.
That's great.
I absolutely love that quote because, I always hear people say history repeats itself, history repeats itself, history. Well, it doesn't, but it does rhyme.
Yes.
And there are things you can glean from history about contemporary things that are going on and apply them in a way to understand it.
Yes.
Well, but I agree with you on one level, but don't you think there are still people today, maybe not on the farms, and that's about rhyming and all that, I see what you're saying, but you don't think there are people working hard today who maybe are having a tough go of it and they don't make a lot of money, but they're still proud of their jobs and proud of being a good bootblack or proud of being, and I think that was the nostalgia that touched me. It was done through a very clever kind of symbolism.
Corporate America destroyed that image that everybody was sobbing over during that commercial.
I don't think that's true. No.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
They got that farmer, that iconic farmer, can't make it anymore because of the corporatization.
Well, I wouldn't pin it all on corporations either. I think we destroyed that. We had a large part in that. Wanting cheaper products, wanting tons of meat, and the population growth. And then, that's why you see the movement back to the small farmer.
Right.
The regional farmer, because people are realizing that, even though it makes food cheaper, it makes meat more available, we need to move back towards that. But, I think you're right, Tom, about people working hard, and there's no reason to be, if you work hard, be proud of it. There's nothing wrong with doing a good day's work, but to Lynn's point about a corporation playing on that and saying, look how great you guys are. Meanwhile, you can't have a union. You can't do all these things. It's that nostalgia that blurs our vision. I emailed you, Lynn. I think it was funny they credited Paul Harvey, but they didn't credit Leni Riefenstahl.
Oh, that's right. That's right. No, right.
It was a brilliant commercial. Don't get me wrong.
No, because of its excuse me, because of its exploitative brilliance.
Well, and if you look at what's very interesting, I did an exhibition about this once, and if you compare communist, Stalinist, Nazi, and American 1930s propaganda, murals are all the same. These heroic people
That's right.
in the
it's
field.
all the same. And I am so resistant that I might have been the only person who refused to be moved by that spot. Every time he sort of paused, I would, with one of his, and so... when he said God Made a Farmer, I kept shouting out, so buy a Dodge Ram truck.
Hey, listen, one more thing, and I'll let you. Thanks for your time.
Bye.
But Lynn, I know Paul Harvey from when you were on
I was his opening act on TAE.
WPXI?
Yeah.
When you had the radio show on there, I used to hear his little segments.
He always.
Thanks to you, I know Paul Harvey.
And now Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. We did that. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate the call. We've got no. I mean, I was his opening act.
No, I know that, but I just wondered if
no. He was out of Chicago. Yes, he was a Chicago guy.
Right.
And his son has attempted to carry on.
Oh, really?
Paul Harvey Jr. is still doing these spots. He sounds quite a bit like his dad, and he learned from his father, and he's not bad. But, you can't,
you can't
the king is dead, long live the king. Is very conservative.
Oh, yeah.
Politically, although every once in a while he'd shock the heck out of you by being on the side you wouldn't think he would. And I don't know if that's because he had a more sort of libertarian bent or not. But, he was one. I learned from him, from listening to him, how to, when I used to do a lot of spots on my show, come to think of it, I'm taking a break in a minute, when I used to personally do the spots, he would so seamlessly move from the news to the spot that he was halfway into the spot before you realized that he was selling you something.
Yeah, right.
And it was brilliant. And I'd like to think I sometimes pulled that off myself. He was really a brilliant guy in radio. When radio was radio. And it's not anymore. Nothing's the same. That's what I wanted to say. I had some friends, older people, who were leaving the house the other day, and one of them just went into a rant about how, and the music's not as good, and this isn't as good, and they're not this and that. And I said, you're down on everybody under the age of 30 because they didn't grow up when you grew up. They didn't have the same. I said, they're in a different world than you are. You can't expect them to retrace your steps. It moves forward.
Well, have you seen this movie, The Last Quartet?
No, I haven't. Should I?
It's quite nice. Yes, it's quite nice. But anyway, there's one bit in it where this old opera singer, the actor Tom Courtenay, they speak to these kids to come to this old folks' home for musicians. And these kids come in, and they're mostly sort of Afro-Caribbean blacks in England, and they don't sort of get opera. So he's talking about opera, and then he really has made the point to study, and he then has learned some rap. And he's sort of saying, well, listen to the lyrics of this rap about death and love and all that. And these kids, the light bulbs go off. So there's a way of saying, but you have to try to, it's that whole thing of the now of then. What was it like when Kate Smith was singing that and when Paul Harvey was saying that? It was a different America, yeah.
But you have to, I'm bound and determined not to totally become one of those old people who won't embrace
I concur completely with
and
that.
Won't try to understand it and listen to it and stuff, because it's insane to stick yourself in a...
No, of course, then
you're done.
A fly in amber.
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, sure.
Indeedy. So grab some young person and keep them in your life, because they do. They can be like the translator.
Sure, exactly.
It's good to have young people around to translate sometimes.
Well, it's a life cycle.
Yes, indeedy. We have to take a break.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Go to BarkBargains.com for great deals on meals from your favorite local restaurants, museums, and shows. This week only, get discounts up to 20% on gift cards to the Olive Garden. Supplies are limited. BarkBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. BarkBargains.com.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a pep talk that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You can improve your future. Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and for free classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
All right, we are back. Well, there's coffee all over it now. But I want
to... You had a bit of a flood here.
Yeah, you mentioned that Tom mentioned that it was Fashion Week.
All right.
Allow me to... I am somebody who has never comprehended
Fashion Week.
Fashion in general.
Oh, I see.
And I find it...
But your attire would speak otherwise.
Yeah. I find that the personalities that are associated with it are so shallow.
Oh, yeah.
It's the shallowness of it that makes me nuts. And you're closer to that world by virtue of
arts and that. Sure. And many of our people are equally shallow.
What is that? I mean, I understand that.
Well, I think what it is, it's all about surface, number one.
That's true.
It's all about, to some degree, unless you're talking about, street chic, but, having enough money that if red dresses are in, you have to be able to wear them.
It's also
and then
silly.
Throw them out a month from now.
But I know, but that's what's so...
I know,
it offends me.
No. But what it is it's saying, I have the wherewithal, the time, and the savoir-faire to know that red dresses are in, and I'm going to wear them, and I won't be caught dead in one tomorrow if I know they're out, and you don't, peon.
Okay, so that to me is so ugly.
Oh, it is ugly.
It's so disgusting. And there's an ad, now I can't think of what this ad is, but it's some woman and she says that the punchline is, and everyone was so jealous of me.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And I'm thinking... That's what motivates you?
Yeah, sure, right, exactly.
To have something somebody else doesn't?
Doesn't or couldn't.
Or couldn't or doesn't. Anyone who has that ethic,
right,
I find them abhorrent.
Well,
I'm sorry,
I find them
disgusting.
That I never knew up until 10, 15, 20 years ago, these runway shows, they spend millions on.
Right.
Last 12 minutes. I've never been, but a friend went to a couple of a few years ago, and she said everyone's in it there. It's very clear who can sit where, and if you're the main couturier or whatever, you can sit in the front row, but your minions have to sit in the third row.
Okay, listen to this.
Yeah, right.
This is speaking of that.
All right.
This is the Wall Street Journal today. They're talking about the Tom Brown Fashion Week show. And he was all of a sudden, he's all the rage because he did that beautiful coat.
That Mrs. Obama wore.
Michelle wore to the inauguration. Okay. Listen to this. He rocked Fashion Week with the sort of conceptual show usually seen in Paris, set among male models trussed to iron beds in a snowy forest. You laugh. I looked at that and thought, I would like, if I were, I would like to, zap, I would like to destroy you all.
Yeah, right.
What a waste of energy and creativity.
But then the other
money
thing that I never
understood
understood as well, yes, when these people are sitting there, they're looking, but also they're, if they're a store, they're marking down, we can sell number 43, we can sell. But they often will have for these shows, in addition to the ones they do.
Yes. Right.
These wild things with toilets on people's heads.
Well, this is what I'm looking every time you see this stuff. This is what they have. The ugliest thing. Who would wear any of this stuff? But I guess that's what they want. Then there's another story about get this.
Right.
I think it's on the inside, but it's too wet. On the inside, Tom spilled his coffee, and so it's all right here.
Boo hiss.
The lingerie world
now
has totally gone bonkers, and all the stuff is being made for S&M for women.
I see.
It's the thing now because of that idiot book or books. 50 Shades of Grey. So on the inside, I think it's where I saw it, they have the little... No, that's not where I saw it. They have, velveteen handcuffs with, all kinds of ways to truss one to an iron bed. They have bras that look like Seda S&M bras. They have... And this is what... For Valentine's Day, if you want to really show someone how much you love them, you
tie
will get
them up
that's right.
to those
you
rusty
will give
beds
them some
in the
velvet handcuffs and black leather. Jesus, God Almighty!
Now you have to bring up a point. Now maybe it's because I'm homosexual, but I know what those books are about. But I have had no interest whatsoever to pick one up or to read them.
Oh, me either. I will not. I will make it my life's work to never read one.
But they're making a movie, aren't they, I think?
Oh, right. Well, that's something else to avoid.
Yeah, right. Because there's been, I've read about the male, the person who's the main person, the man, and I forgot who they've suggested is playing the role. There are all these younger stars.
Speaking of gay men,
yes.
Have you ever done online dating?
No, I haven't.
Well, there's sites.
Yeah, of course, many.
But what they're doing now is there are sites. There's Grindr for gay men,
Grindr,
and Stag is a new one.
I don't know that one.
STAGG.
Yes.
Stag. Now, for me, there's JDate. Do you know about that?
Oh, yeah. Man. Or you could be cougar, too, couldn't you?
Yes, I guess I could. JDate, which is for Jewish singles. Yes. Well, so I went on JDate once to see what was. I was so freaked and appalled. First of all, there aren't that many Jews around. So the Jews that are posting on it, it's so sad. Like a Jew in Punxsutawney. You're a Jew in Punxsutawney, and you want to. I know, and you want to marry a Jew.
It's me and that beaver thing, or whatever it's called.
So half the Jews on JDate, if you look in there are all these poor souls that are stuck in communities where there are no other Jews, right. But they feel a need to try to find a fellow. What happened
this year? I don't know why. What did did the groundhog see his shadow or not?
No, he didn't. So spring's supposed to come earlier.
Oh, okay.
Not that we give a damn.
Oh, I see.
There's also occupation websites, farmersonly.com.
Right.
Speaking of the farmies, or veggiedate.org. But
the thing that's so weird about those...
Date my pet, which is a deal breaker for a lot of people. If you don't like, if you're allergic to my cat,
pussy is lonely. Yeah. make her feel better.
So...
the thing I've always disliked about those sorts of things, I mean, I have many friends who stand by them, but, yes, some people who particularly look very handsome or beautiful women, you put your photo and they're like, oh, yeah. But they found how many instances of...
they don't...
Of, like, someone, I could put a picture of Troy Donahue in
But I've never understood that, because at some point, push comes to shove, and you got to meet the person.
Well, what about Manti Te'o? I mean, I rest my case.
Okay.
Did you watch at all? I had to watch Katie.
No.
Who had him on, and she was very good. She kept looking at him like, "Oh my God,
how
are you an adult?"
Yeah. No,
and then I watched
totally
Dr. Phil, who had the
other guy on, the lover on, who played the woman. Yeah, I feel that poor. Oh God. Oh. Anyway, it says here that they're starting to do studies following up people who find their mate online.
Yeah.
And they're finding out that these matches are working as well as
normal.
Finding in fact, even better.
Huh.
Those who met online were twice as likely to marry as those who met offline. About 1 in 5 new relationships now begin online. It's not surprising anymore to hear.
Well, I think part of that is it's hard. Like, let's say I meet you.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
And let's say we're talking and you're fabulous and whatever, but I don't like your looks. So once I sort of say, "Oh, that cougar," blah blah blah, I shut off 3/4 of my personality. Because, she doesn't look like Marilyn Monroe or something like that. Whereas if you're being honest, or in case of even Manti, if you're hearing what you want to hear, that's where it's sort of dangerous if it's lying. But if it's true, I like Chinese food. I like Chinese food too. I want to learn German. I want to learn German too. And, if it's truthful, then you get past it. But I can't believe, though, if someone walked in and they saw you and you reminded them of Aunt Louise, who they hated, that's just not going to put a huge rent in...
well, it will, because that's chemistry. That's something...
Yeah, that's the buzz.
Just, bang, like that. Melanie says, I think you should start a dating service for the people who listen to your show.
Well, what do we have, 70,000? What was the number?
It's not 70,000.
It was a huge number.
Yes. There were 165,000 downloads in October, but some of those are the same person doing it.
Yeah, okay, well.
They figure the audience was about 7,000 per show.
Oh, for sure. Okay, right.
But that's a nice pool. That's a pretty good pool.
You should someone call up. Have you ever seen on a reality TV, Patty Stanger, the millionaire matchmaker?
No.
Oh, you should watch sometime. Oh, she's a piece of work. Her grandmother and her mother and she are all professional yentas.
I can't.
And she is the quintessence of a yenta in the worst sense of the word.
Oh, no, I just could not. There's an app now. This is this freaks me out. There's an app that's called Singles Around Me. And it's taking off. And here's how that works. All right. I don't know where you're going after you leave here, but maybe you find yourself having a coffee someplace. And you're looking around, and you're thinking, I wonder. I guess you log on to Singles Around Me, and they'll tell you.
That's how Grindr works.
Well, how can they know?
They can know.
You have to. Anyone
you have to
sign
up. But it's very funny. Usually in Pittsburgh, and I did for a joke, but you're just like, oh, here's a person that's 3 blocks away from you. But in New York, you go, and let's say you're not even in a gay bar, but you're in a restaurant in the Village, and they'll say, oh,
2 tables over.
Yeah, there's 40 people. It's
40
hilarious.
gay guys right in the room with you. But then what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to go walking around looking for them, I guess.
Well, sometimes there are pictures. It won't just say that. They'll say, "There's Frank. There's Big Bunny." There's dear
God!
Some people have these weird names.
Oh God!
No, it's hilarious.
Well,
but it's very funny. The thing I find rather freaky, but also frightening about it is how different is it? Are we at some point going to have the equivalent of a tattoo or something implanted in, so every time you walk in, oh, there's Lynn Cullen, she likes Pampers. Oh, there's Tom Sokolowski, he wants to buy a Ralph Lauren suit. They know everything from his memory chip.
Well,
police records. I mean, it could be really awful.
Well, we're heading that way. There's no doubt about it. Well, anyway, I just want to wish you all a very happy Valentine's Day.
Even with that dystopic ending.
Yes, even if that's your... I've never liked Valentine's Day. I'm sorry. I hate these sort of enforced...
Nostalgias.
Enforced anything. I don't want to be told that on this date, February 14th, you damn well better tell me you love me, and you better take me to... come on. Why? Because corporate America told you to?
Sell you chocolates.
I can't stand it.
Yeah,
I don't even like being told to give somebody a gift at Christmas. I like... Through the course of my life, I'm wandering around, I see something, I think, Jess would love that.
Yeah.
Right. Then I give you a gift.
Not just because you're supposed to. And you know how many people will break up if they forget Valentine's or have to work late?
Oh, there'll be trouble. There'll be trouble. Oh, yeah, there'll be trouble. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day. Happy un-Valentine's Day, if that's your want.
Amor.
And thank you.
Thank you, dear.
As usual, thank you. Tomorrow we'll be back. At least I'll be back.
And if you broke up your romance, call Lynn.
Yeah, we can do a post-Valentine's Day.
Actually, I think it was under Andy Newman, Chris's predecessor. We once did at the museum the worst date on Valentine's Day, and people would come up and read their stories. It was cute.
Oh, their worst dates?
Yeah, it was funny.
Oh, that is funny. Well, maybe we'll have to do that tomorrow. You can only talk politics so much. Yeah, it's not good for you. Not good for you at all.
And then if you mix politics with love, like Joe Petraeus, what happens?
Oh, man. Yeah, definitely not a good idea. Well, have a great day, you guys.
Bye-bye. Now, what was the final...
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.